All right, you beautiful people, it is September 2020, back to school, sort of ish. I don't know. We're taking a look back at what happened in August 2020, as well as where we sit year to date for the first 2/3 of what might be the weirdest year in life and in real estate in Ottawa. So let's jump right into it. We'll talk about what happened combined, both residential and condo in the month of August. We have 17% more sales, and the average price has gone up by 20%. The inventory is down significantly, and that's what's driving the prices up higher. We've got about half the inventory that we saw in 2019. 44% less to be precise. However, the inventory is starting to creep up a little bit from what we had seen earlier this year. And we'll start to note that change on the residential side and a lot more on the condo side. The number of sales, obviously, 2017. The inventory at 1892 means that we've got 0.93 months of inventory. It is a seller's market, but those numbers are starting to creep up because last month we had 0.88 months of inventory. Not a huge difference, but there is a small change that we're starting to see just a little bit. If we look at year to date where we're sitting, obviously we're down by 11.2 in terms of number of units sold. And the main reason for that is because we pretty much lost a month between April and May when everything was locked down. We had 55% less sales in April and 44% less sales in May. Year to date, however, the average price is up to over 517 versus 440 at this point last year for the first 8 months of 2020. That's a huge, significant growth. Okay. Like I said before, more units are getting added to the market. Although the absorption is higher, it's no longer outpacing the supply, and the market is starting to shift more so on the condo world than on the res world, but even a little bit on the residential world as well. Okay, when we look at August residential, just residential itself, and only the month of August, tunnel vision on that one thing, we're at 21.8% more sales that happened and 22.4% higher prices of properties that have sold. Great numbers, huge numbers. However, the inventory is, again, it's about half of what it was, okay? But the one thing that I really want you to look at is the difference between the August 2020 amount of inventory versus July 2020 number of inventory in residential. So we've been seeing every month it's less and less and less, but now the residential inventory is starting to creep up a little bit, but it's being outpaced by the number of sales, okay? And you can see here 0.88 months of inventory, definitely a seller's market, more sales in a month than we have inventory left at the end of the month. Okay, definitely a seller's market there. Year to date, where we're sitting in terms of residential, obviously we're down by 10.6%, but like you remember, we were down by 50% at one point this year. The average price on a residential property significantly higher at 16.8%. All right, the main notes here, we're talking about bungalows and two-stories that are up 26 and 22%. Those are the two major driving segments that are really pushing the prices in the residential sector. If we look at the August condo world, just the month of August, you can see the number of sales is up by 2.3%, but for a few months this year, that number was up by 17, 18, even 20% in some instances. So not a lot more sales that are happening in the condo world, but the price is significantly higher. Price is up by 24%. All right. The inventory, this is a big deal here. The inventory is up now to 505. And when I did my El Predicto at the beginning of the year, I said, hey, we're not going to get more than 500 condo units in any given month available for sale at the end of a month, because we normally follow a best fit line, and that best fit line would have dropped off. But this is the third straight month in a row where I see it creeping up as opposed to dropping off. Now, it's not catching up to the number of units that we had for sale last year, but it certainly is going up. You see, at the end of July 2020, we had 444 units for sale. Now we've got 505. Okay. Now, what all of this means is that we're still definitely in a seller's market, but the amount of inventory is starting to grow. So we've got 1.15 months of inventory on the seller's side. What does that mean when you look at it year to date? Well, year to date is looking at the past. We're hoping to predict the future and thinking about the condo world might start to shift a little bit, and you might have to position your property properly if you want to make sure that you net the most that you can. So you can see the number of units sold is down by 10.6 year over year. Again, we had 2 months of essentially 50% sales, but the average price of a condo is up by almost 20%. That's huge. That's significant. Okay. The notes here, the condo inventory is trending up compared to the historic best fit line for the third straight month. So although we sold slightly more, the inventory is increasing, and the number of sales, the difference in the gap between the number of sales versus the same period last year versus the amount of inventories coming to the market is not as big a gap. So we're going to start to see things change, okay? Some effects of Airbnb, et cetera, mostly in the condo world. And the condo world really only accounts for a quarter of the overall market in Ottawa. But all of this has an effect, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether it's a residential property, whether it's a condo, where it is, what it looks like, what the price point is. All of these things have an effect, okay? We get together and we talk in our office meetings on a regular basis about what's going on in this, what's going on with this group of people, what's going on with this price point. All of these things matter if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing. And if that's the case, please call me. My team and I would be more than happy to help. As always, the phone number 613-314-3187. And until then, Sty Fire out.